Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chemistry and Bio Plus panel. My name is Fitz, my pronouns are they, them, and I will be your host for today's panel. I would like to begin by gratefully acknowledging that Science World is located on the traditional and unceded Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh village site of Sanok. We will start today with a quick introduction from our wonderful group of mentors, followed by a hosted discussion. If you have any questions for the mentors, feel free to put those in the chat at any time. Our technician today is Kimmy, who will be monitoring the chat. If you have any technical issues, she'll be happy to assist. We ask that you keep the comments in the chat and in the questions sections respectful and relevant to the topics being discussed. And now it is time to meet our mentors. So we'll start by going around doing a brief introduction before we jump into some questions. So mentors, if you could just turn on your cameras and you will be brought up on the screen right now. All right, awesome. So hello, everyone. Can we just get each one of you to let us know your name, pronouns if you want, job title, and the thing you love most about your career? So I guess we can just start with Lily over here.
Sure. Hi. So my name's Lily. I'm actually a PhD student currently at the University of British Columbia, and I work in a medicinal inorganic chemistry lab. So basically, I do fundamental research, so just working in the lab on a day-to-day basis. And the research is focused on medicinal applications, specifically looking at cancer imaging and therapy. And the inorganic part comes from our focus is specifically with metals in medicine. And I guess the thing I like the most about the career is kind of the flexibility that I have with it and the interesting applications.
Awesome. So Emma, do you want to go next?
Hi, everybody. My name is Emma. My background is as a university educator in chemistry for the last 5 years, and I am currently continuing that work as well as working as the director of BioInc research and development for a biotech startup called Voxcell Innovation. The thing I like most about all of the work that I've done, both as a student and beyond a student, is the collaboration, whether or not that's with my colleagues or getting to work with students.
Awesome. Let's do Sri next.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Shri, and I'm a PhD student at University of Victoria. My specialization is in chemistry. My research is focused on using color and light as tools to study how fast the molecules move. So I'm interested in molecular mobility side of things. The interesting thing that excites me about scientific career is I get to create new knowledge on an everyday basis, and I get to deal with new challenges. That's what keeps me excited in science. Thank you.
Very cool. So Tisha, do you just want to go next?
For sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Tisha Lure, pronounced like a fishing lure. My pronouns are she, her. I am also a PhD student. We got a lot of PhD students here for you today. I am in a proteomics lab at UBC. So that means I study proteins and peptides. And my project, really topical, I actually am studying a novel vaccine development pathway project. So I'm working on trying to help discover new ways to create vaccines. So we use human cells first rather than the pathogen cells first to try and figure out how the immune cell responds. My favorite thing about my job and science as a whole is mentorship and sharing my science with others. So I'm super happy to be here today.
Awesome. So we're not getting any questions in the thing yet. Not sure where everyone is. Kimmy, do you know whether there's actually people in the thing? Otherwise, I'll just get started with the... All right. So I guess I'll just get started with some questions. But if those people that are watching want to put any questions in the chat, then feel free to start doing that. So yeah, let's start with an easy one. How did you get started in sort of your career or what you're studying at the moment? We can do it in the same order. So Lily, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. I guess how I got started was like after high school, going into university and not really knowing what I was interested in, but knowing I was interested in science. And then in undergrad, I was able to kind of test the waters of different subjects and found that I really liked the biological and medicinal applications of chemistry, because I found it's a very like fundamental way to understand why things happen in biology and different ways you can apply things to make something like a drug or a pharmaceutical. And I guess leading me into my PhD now, I had a lot of opportunities in undergrad to actually work at different companies. I did a co-op program, so this let me work at a few different companies and learn more about the research that's going on in drug development and pharmaceuticals.
Awesome. So Emma, if you want to go next.
I got into science probably the same way a lot of us did. I had an aptitude for it, and then also it was fostered in the home that I was raised in, and so I spent a lot of time outside and got my first chemistry set from my dad for my 10th birthday and sort of never looked back, and then had an amazing high school chemistry teacher, and so that sort of led me down the chemistry path. I did both of my degrees at the University of Victoria, which is a really like healthy and thriving chemistry program. And so that also really helped like keep me in and happily doing chemistry. And then how I got into chemical education is as a graduate student, you teach labs. And I have this like very clear memory of teaching my first undergraduate lab and just loving it. And so deciding like that was what I was going to do. And so I've spent the last 11 years teaching labs, teaching outside labs, and I'm working towards being a university educator. And so that's how I got into it. That's why I keep doing it, because it's still as great as the first day I taught my first class.
Awesome. So Shri, if you want to go next.
Yes. So my journey also started in high school. When I was in my high school, I had this chemistry class, which so for those who don't know, I was raised in India and we had a different education system there. And when I was in high school, my chemistry teacher, I was really good in chemistry part. And what I used to do whenever I go back home, is even if I don't have an assignment, I used to sit down and read a lot of chemistry, and that's how I was hooked into the subject. I used to like randomly draw some molecules and start to make some reaction schemes for them and see how I can make it based on the knowledge I have at that point, which sounded a little funny right now when I look back at those schemes because it's so not great, but that's how I was hooked to. And I took chemistry as my major in the university. And while I was doing the chemistry as a major, I also had an opportunity to travel to different countries to explore different chemistry courses and like labs and stuff, which really brought me to my core expertise area. Like I really did explore different areas of chemistry before I actually choose my niche in which I'm doing my PhD on right now.
Awesome. So Tisha, do you just want to?
Yeah, so I got my background the same. It was in high school, but I grew up in a smaller town. So I grew up in Vernon, BC. And so our exposure to sciences was very minimal. It was just what was in our science textbooks. And so I didn't have the opportunity to really know what university was or like what went on in research at all. So when I got to undergrad, I was so excited. I wanted to be a biochemiphysicist. I decided I just wanted to like dig really deep into a lot of different things to really find out what my passion was. So I took tons of different classes in undergrad, but I ended up finalizing on doing a chemistry major with a psychology minor, which was really interesting to throw in there. And I was super, super, super thankful to be at the University of BC, but the Okanagan campus, so up in Kelowna. And so the chemistry department there is small, but really interconnected. I was a part of the undergraduate student union and a part of like different groups and activities. And I thankfully ended up getting connected to an absolutely wonderful professor. She's still one of my someone near and dear to my heart. And I was able to start my research in her lab, and she got me hooked on mass spectrometry. And I'm still doing mass spec work today. So I'm a techno scientist rather than searching the topic I research. I have searched research projects that are specifically to stay with mass spec. So I've hopped around on subjects a little bit, and that's how I got to where I am today. So I'm doing, an immunology project. So I'm not an immunologist at all. I'm a chemist at heart, but it's a mass spec project. So I still get to work with my mass specs on a daily basis.
Very cool. I'll just say it again just because I'm told we have people trickling in. So if anyone wants to add questions to the chat, then I can be asking those. But for now, Tisha, you mentioned a professor that really inspired you. Just sort of another question for all of you. Are there sort of people who have like really inspired you, or even someone you personally knew, or even just someone who you heard of or you saw someday? We can do the same order again, I guess. Lily?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know if I would say this is more historical, but I guess my field like specifically focuses on radiochemistry. So I work with radioactive materials. So someone in this field from a very long time ago, Marie Curie, I think is very inspirational because she was like a foundational scientist way ahead of her time, and at a time where not a lot of women were able to do science. And I think that's always stuck out to me, that sticking with that field. Yeah. And then I guess more current stuff, I guess just the people I work with, seeing other people working very hard and doing a lot of really interesting research is kind of motivation to continue my work.
Yeah, definitely. Emma, how about you?
I guess the first person for me would be my mom. Like, my mom was a university professor. And so I was raised in a house where my mom was the sort of primary income and was had this job that I now realize was like so incredible that she had like achieved, that she got her job when she was like 8 months pregnant with me and like defended her PhD in early stages of her pregnancy, and all this sort of awesome stuff that I just at the time when I was a kid, I don't realize. And like when I went through the process myself, I was like, wow, that was absolutely incredible. So I guess that was my first person that I really looked up to. And then I've benefited from just really outstanding mentors. My undergraduate research was amazing. My PhD research, amazing. And then my postdoc supervisor is the woman I look up to the most. I intentionally sought out a female postdoc supervisor because I'd only ever worked for male mentors. So I deliberately like went and found her. And it was the most invigorating year of my career, where we worked all the time, but where she also had me over for dinner and taught me so many lessons about chemistry and being a professional. And now, since I've moved on, I've been working for 6 years since, and I carry all these lessons with me, everything that I learned from her. And then I also get the opportunity to work with really good people. So I find mentorship anywhere I can look. But my mom was the original.
Yeah, Shri, you go ahead.
Yes. In the initial days of my career, I should definitely say my brother has been a good inspiration for me. He's just 4 years older than me, but he's also into sciences, but different kind of sciences. Seeing him going the path that I wanted to go has been really inspiring for me, kind of anticipating what kind of challenges lies ahead of me and kind of figuring out how I will deal with it has been very useful. When it comes to like a real scientist inspiration, it's definitely my PhD supervisor. I actually met her back in 2015 when I was not enrolled as a PhD student, but I came to work in her lab for an internship for 2 months when I was studying in India. And she really is the one who kind of been a very backing force for me to actually consider PhD as a main, kind of study more and, kind of look for what are the options available and help me to really drive towards where my career is going right now. So I should really thank her. Apart from that, like I said, I'm a PhD student. I also do something in my free time, which is interviewing and highlighting scientists in BC through interviews, which I want to cover their scientific journeys. In that process, I really meet a lot of women across BC who became my mentors through the process and really kind of give me an idea of what to expect and as I move along with my career and kind of make me more prepared and how I can deal with that. So I should thank those mentors as well.
Awesome. Well, Tisha, you already mentioned someone, but if you have anyone else.
Yeah, so from a young age, one of my huge mentors and someone who inspired me was Bill Nye. I absolutely loved watching Bill Nye when, back when TV was just, 100 channels, you could flip through, and anytime, Bill Nye the Science Guy was on, I would always sit down and get so excited about science. Similar to Emma, I just had an aptitude for sciences and chemistry, and so my teachers through my high school education just really encouraged that. I took as many science electives as I could, and then it was landing in my university, my undergraduate professors. Thankfully, one of those things, it's everything's meant to be. Everything happens for a reason. I actually failed first year chemistry in university. So in my first year, I failed the second half. So I passed the first half of the course for the year, but I failed the second half, which sounds a little bit funny because I'm now I got a chemistry major and I'm now still in sciences. But it was meant to be. That meant that it pushed back some of my other classes. So I took a second year class in my third year. So I took analytical chemistry, which is a second year class in my third year. And that is where I met Dr. Susan Murch. So she is my undergrad professor. And she is super passionate just about mentorship and students learning and students really taking hold of their own career and what students want to get out of their path. So she's really helped me carve out what I want to be when I grow up. So she's someone who's really inspired me to stay in the sciences and be compassionate and be human in the sciences, because sometimes we forget that. So it's good to come back to that.
Awesome. So I think we have time for one last quick question. Sort of considering the age of most of the people watching here, so say average of maybe 12 years old, what sort of skills would you say people can already be building at their age? It can be subject-based, it can be just life skills, but sort of what do you think that people could already be working on? We can do same order again. Lily, you go first.
Sure, yeah. Skills from a young age. I don't think there's anything like specific to science that is necessary from a young age. That's all part of the learning process and why you go and pursue education and things like that. But skills, I guess, one thing for me that I would say is teamwork. Probably, I played a lot of team sports as a kid, and I think that has made a huge difference. Learning how to interact with others and work as a team towards one goal is really important, especially for a lot of careers in science. You work with a lot of other people. You need to know how to play to your strengths and play to their strengths as well. So I'd say definitely teamwork is a really important one. And then just continue following things that you're interested in and your passions. Like, don't follow something because everyone else is doing it. Do it because you're interested in it. Really pursue those things that stand out to you, and you'll probably enjoy it a lot more.
Definitely. Emma?
I would say probably one of the best things you could do is just learn to really foster your curiosity. Like, being a scientist is so rooted in just being curious. And so I think that that's something that everybody can do. And I think that sometimes we're almost encouraged to not be curious because it's like, oh, you have too many questions and all this sort of stuff, right? And so I see that a lot in students where they will like apologize for having a question, and it's like, well, that's literally my job. Like, I get paid to answer your questions, so like even if I didn't want to, I have to. So like, you should really be asking questions. And so I would say curiosity is probably the most important thing you can be doing, and allowing yourself to have and never feel bad about having. Don't ever feel bad about being that like smart nerdy kid and all these sort of things. Like, I was that smart nerdy kid, and now I have this awesome life that I've built off being a smart nerd. And so I just think, and I think it's especially hard at that age. I think back to middle and high school for myself, it was so challenging. And people say to just be yourself, and that's such glib advice because that's not always possible sometimes, because it's really hard with all these people around you. And so I would say just find your passion, find your curiosity, and never say no to an opportunity if it comes calling, and seek out those sort of things. And those are the sort of things you can do as you move forward.
Awesome. Thank you. Shri?
Yeah, I totally agree with the curiosity part that Lily and Emma highlighted. If I have to say something apart from what they have covered, I would definitely say you should know how to ask for help. You should really have that skill. Like, many of us may not have scientists in our homes. Like, I do not have, like, the only person I had is my elder brother, who's not really a scientist yet, but he's just elder than me, is in the process of becoming a scientist. So you should really look for people, like, when you go to science fairs, for example, ask them, like, kind of asking for help. Okay, I'm at this position, what can I do with my time? I'm really interested to know more about this field. And just asking will give you a lot of information and resources that will really help you to focus. And also, the other thing that I would say is learn how to manage uncertainty. Like I already told you at the beginning, science is all about creating new knowledge. So there's a lot of uncertainty that comes with it. All the experiments doesn't work. It's not like writing an exam and getting a nice grade. It's not like that. You will deal with failures, you will deal with successes, and it's a process of learning. It's a learning process, and it's a learning curve. So like, if you're in sports and these extracurricular activities, they will teach you how to manage uncertainty, like, how to approach a problem and things like that. So those are very transferable in science as well. Like, the earlier you realize how to manage this uncertainty part very well, your career will be like on the rocks. So that's something that I would definitely tell people. So managing uncertainty and asking for help, very important.
Awesome. Thank you. Tisha?
Okay, I'll wrap it up with 3 quick things. I think that you need to learn how to read. I know you already know how to read, but learn how to make reading a part of your daily, everyday life. That's how we consume so much content, and reading things that really bring benefit to your life. So reading social media, maybe not, but reading some science articles or some news about something that interests you. So having reading. So learn how to read, learn how to learn. Everyone learns differently. Learn what things make learning the best for you, and make things that make learning the most exciting for you. And the third thing is learn how to fail. So learning, right? Sri just talked about that, learning when your science experiments are failing and how to get past that. So that uncertainty and the adversity that comes along. You will fail at some things in your career, whether that be in university or some point in your exams that are in your high school. You're going to get things that are marked wrong. You're going to get spots that are hard and are tough, and that you might trip up. Learn how to overcome that. Learn how to get past that so that you can overcome your failures. So learn how to read, learn how to learn, and learn how to fail.
All right. Thank you very much to all of you for that. We would like to thank everyone that is watching right now for joining us. Again, thank you to our mentors for sharing your time and your experiences, and your advice is very helpful. So anyone watching, if you could please return to the mainstream in the lobby for the next activity. And that will be it for this panel. Thank you.